Hello. Hi, guys. This is all super new being on YouTube going live. I've done a few lives before, but today, hello, I'm just checking on the mic. Mic seems to be working, so it's quite a low level. Let me speak directly into the microphone. Hello. Hi. Rita, a warm greeting from Italy. Hi, how are you? Gosh, it's been a long time. Rita, I don't know whether you knew, but I've been working on a different app called Hello App, and I was speaking every Tuesday and Thursday there, but they've just changed their rules, which means that I can no longer use the platform. So I'm going to be using YouTube and starting again. But I suspect YouTube is the place where I should have been all along. But let's see if anybody else joins us. A couple of people have said they'll join us from Facebook. But it's lovely to have you, Rita. I did although I'm happy to do Q&As for anybody that's interested in speaking and asking about speaking questions. I did want to cover a particular topic today, which is about when you're smarter than you sound. And I particularly want to separate smarter than how you sound rather than how you look. This is not about appearances, and anybody watching this video may make a snap judgment about me, about my own intelligence. That's fine. I'm particularly interested in if you feel that you're being underestimated or overlooked in some way because you can't get the words out and you can't express yourself, and you feel that your abilities are a lot higher. So your internal world is very different from your external world. So to anybody who's new, my name's Joanne Whitlock. I write about making speaking simple. I do this because I struggled with speaking for years and years and years and years and years. And there's no reason it should be as hard as it was for me, for anybody else. I've very recently got more involved with native speakers, in particular people that have anxiety or what's called social anxiety disorder, and I can definitely connect to those people that are struggling with anxiety with speaking. But I'm not a therapist, so I shall say that straight away. I like to think of myself as more of an advocate for people that are struggling with speaking, and just want to hear from somebody that's been through it themselves and maybe have some ideas as to what to work towards. So Rita, if you have any questions, let me know. But as I say, I did want to talk about the whole you are smarter than you sound, and what that feels like and what your first signals are that may be the case for you. Sorry, excuse me, because I think it's very interesting. I'm talking about you now rather than the other person that's watching you. We can talk about them later. But for you, what it can feel like is a lot of frustration that may boil over to the anger. And then, and kind of beyond that, can be depression and other problems with mental health. If you're constantly feeling that people aren't seeing the real you, it's really going to have an impact on you meeting like-minded friends as well, if you're not able to communicate what kind of mind that you have. And like I say, it's something that I really connect to. And I was going to say a few different stories. Once upon a time, when I was about 18, I used to work in a shoe shop called Dulce's. No, hang on. This is a different shoe shop. I used to work in a shoe shop. Oh, to anybody that watches this video in the future, I don't edit out mistakes. I don't, even in my pre-recorded videos, I don't edit out mistakes because I think it gives people a false idea of how normal native people speak. So I will get, I'm just going to read Rita's comment. Unfortunately, it's a matter of confidence, and I have to admit that my confidence is minimal level, but this is another story. Confidence. Yeah, I think one of the problems, Rita, is that you may have been told to Just be confident. And I hate that word, just be confident. But that doesn't really tell you what to do, or what, there's nothing really to hold on to there, is there, in terms of just be confident. What I like to think is that if you are struggling with confidence, particularly related to speaking, then I can talk about good and bad habits. Let me just write this down. Good and bad habits. Because if you've had a little bit of feedback, or if you realize and you can stop some of the bad habits with speaking and do some of the things which are good habits, then that's firm knowledge for you to hold on to, and it feeds your confidence that way. So for example, when I realized about my ums and ahs and some of the filler words that I was doing, I knew that I would be a better speaker if I stopped that. And I knew it was a habit as well, and that it wasn't part of my core identity in terms of who I was. So, but I didn't know how to stop it. And it's strange because there's lots of information about habits out there. And really, it's a case of when you break a habit, just being conscious that you do something and thinking of it as a habit and something that can be broken. It's like the next day you wake up and it's different, and you catch yourself doing something earlier and earlier until the point that you just stop doing something. It's something about making it conscious just changes the whole thing. But as I say, I do understand that every situation is different, and it may be that it's just your confidence at the moment with other areas that you're finding things a bit challenging. So I hope you find the help that you need. Really, today, if I tell you my story about working at the shoe shop, Rita, you'll realize that you're not the only one that maybe people are underestimating. And it would be lovely if there were people out there that could sort of take you under their wing. I remember wanting so much somebody to mentor me or look out for me, to see in me that I was capable of more, if only given a safe space and a little bit of help to grow. But anyway, shoe shop, 18. I was working as a supervisor in this shoe shop, but I was not given the title, which is fairly normal for a lot of these supervisor positions. And I was desperate for the boss to see that I was capable of being the supervisor formally. So that's the background on it. And I thought I was working really hard and doing everything I could to prove myself. And this is one of the things that I find people who struggle with speaking do, is that they feel that their actions communicate clearly enough. So me turning up at work, me volunteering to stay late, me working as hard as I can, I felt that that signaled that I was ambitious. Anyway, I also happen to be a member of an organization called Mensa. And if you haven't heard of Mensa, Mensa is for people with a high IQ. And at 18, I did this exam because I was feeling a lot of confusion internally about what was I capable of and what was my potential. So I did this IQ exam and I got into Mensa, meaning that I had a high IQ. And most people, certainly in the UK, would know what Mensa was when you mentioned it. So this Saturday, I'm talking to one of the Saturday girls that works there, and I tell her that I'm in Mensa, and she's surprised. And that's okay. I don't tell everybody, so it's okay to be surprised. Anyway, the next week, she comes up to me and she said, "I've told the boss that you were in Mensa." I said, "Oh, okay. What did he say?" And she said, and I quote because this really stuck with me. She said, "He said, of all the people in all the world, Joanne is the last person I would expect to be in Mensa." And I'm just like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing here, because all the people in all the world, you're telling me that by the way I was speaking and expressing myself and by my actions, I was the absolute last person that you would imagine was a member of Mensa. And it's not about people realizing you're super smart or something. It's about, as I say, being underestimated, isn't it? And that feeling of, how are we supposed to cooperate in this? If you're my boss and you see me in that kind of light, that you don't see any potential in me or any intelligence, how am I supposed to move on in this world? And I think what I did was, I didn't believe that I was somebody who could communicate better. So I left. I didn't, as I say, I already done everything I could do in terms of my actions. I'm pretty sure I'd done some workplace training and courses and different things like that, because that was my other go-to thing, to show to people that I was smart enough. But as I say, speaking was out of the question. I didn't feel like I could stand up to him or say to him or ask him, what is it that is making you think that I'm not capable or that I'm not smart or intelligent? And I was wanting to throw that out, because I think there's a lot of us that feel that other people should know that you're capable. For example, my husband talks often about his CV when he's in a job. And he says to me, "Oh, why don't they ask me about this in the workplace?" And he goes, "It's on my CV that I have that experience." And I go, "Nobody remembers your CV. Nobody probably read it in the first place. So definitely nobody remembers now." And I've worked with people that, there was one lady who was working in London. She had English as a second language, and she had a master's degree in marketing, but she had a more junior job in London so that she could build her English skills and different things, but still within that environment. And she said, "Why don't they ask me? Why don't they ask me?" And it's like, they don't remember that you have a master's degree in marketing. We've got to find a safe way for you to volunteer and to express yourself, so that they can see that, she knows more about this than we originally thought. So anyway, there's a couple of people watching. Hi to the couple of people who are watching. I've only had Rita comment, so if anybody else wants to comment, and Rita too. I say, I haven't heard from you for a long time. So yes, I just wanted to talk about the idea that you may feel that you're being underestimated, and offer some hope, really, and a little bit of humour, that it does happen to a lot of us. I suspect a lot of us feel like this. I used to get, as I say, I used to get really frustrated about it. And I felt like when I moved on to the next job, that it would be better and that I would almost reinvent myself. And in a way, I did, because getting the next job used to boost my confidence a little bit. There's something about the performance in the interview that I used to actually like. As I say, all of us have our own little rules and reasons about where it's hard to speak up and where it's easier to speak up. And for me, I knew what was expected of me in an interview, but in the workplace, I really struggled to know what the rules were and what my place was, and what was okay to say and what was not okay to say. And just having a lot of fear and anxiety meant that very often my brain would freeze, and it wasn't just a case of being confident enough to speak up, because there was nothing in my head to say. I was frozen completely, and no logical thoughts were there for me to express. So, as I say, confidence is one part of it, but sometimes it's also about your own skill level in terms of expressing yourself. And recently, I don't know whether you've heard of this, Rita, there's a quote by Ira Glass, and he was talking about something called killer taste. And he was saying about how some of us are attracted to a particular subject or feel a desire or a calling towards something. And that's because we have the taste, the killer taste, to recognize, oh, that's good. That's good over there. But then when we attempt to do it ourselves, because we've still got killer taste, but we haven't yet put the practice in, we can recognize that our skill levels are not as good as the people that we admire, for example. So there's loads of people who speak on YouTube, and I say, I love Brené Brown, I love Liz Gilbert, I love hearing them speak. My skill level isn't there yet. And it's for me to give myself a break and say, they're at a different part of their journey. And it's because I've got this killer taste in terms of I can recognize the difference. And that impacts my confidence. If I couldn't recognize the difference, then I would be super confident right now. I mean, I feel okay because there's relatively few people watching, which is, you're kind of funny. When you start off doing social media and YouTube and different things, you worry about too many people watching. And then, as I say, when you get started, you realize nobody's really watching. Nobody's really paying much attention to you. So there you are. How else can I help you? Rita, what would you like me to do? I'm here for you. Do you want me to tell you any stories or anything that I'm working on at the moment? As I say, I'm happy. I really just wanted to share that, we can all be underestimated sometimes. And even if you were a fantastic speaker, then there is a responsibility from the other person to actually be listening to you. So what else can I tell you? I was told that Pranch, another friend of mine, was going to be listening, but I don't think he's put a comment in yet. So I shall give him a little bit more time to show up. What else was there? Oh, I was going to tell people as well that I'm doing something. I've been doing this freedom of information request thing from universities. I've contacted all of the universities in the UK and asked them to tell me what provisions they have for people who are struggling to speak up, particularly in the classroom. And I wasn't really thinking about public speaking. I was thinking more just straightforward in the classroom as opposed to the public speaking. And it's just what support and help there is. Because I think this is a core skill that's needed in the workplace. And I feel that universities are supposed to be preparing you for the workplace. But it's interesting from the results that I've seen and from like the mission statements of the university. This sort of caretaking and providing isn't the right word. Providing the help you need and the support you need in that transition to go to the workplace. Yes, about giving that specific education, but also about other skills that you might need in that workplace, in terms of you should be able to write competently, and you should be able to, I feel that you should be able to express yourself, and that I know that speaking is something that you can learn and improve on, even with anxiety and different things like that. There's definite progress you can make. So I was wondering what the universities are doing about that. So I have about 50 of the replies already. And as soon as I have all of my replies, which should be the 20th of June, I should have everything by then I shall be letting people know what the universities are doing to help people with speaking. I find that if you have English as a second language, the go-to answer for help is more vocabulary and more grammar. And there's a lot of people who are native speakers where the help is either a therapist, if you deem that you really need a therapist, so it's kind of focused on you, on how bad you say the situation is, or it's public speaking help. But I think there's a lot of people in between who may be struggling with anxiety, but don't necessarily want to put themselves in the box of having social anxiety disorder or a generalized anxiety, and seeing a therapist specific about that. Really what they want is just to know that that's normal and that there are steps that you can work through that. So there you are, really. I'm feeling a little bit on my own. Rita, if you're around, talk to me. I'm not sure who else is here. It may even be me because I'm on the iPad as well. No, I don't think I'm on the iPad. How can I help people? I'm here to help. I'm here to help. Just trying to think. There is another story I can tell you about being underestimated, and if you're actually smarter than the way you sound. And that is that I was working at a hotel, and I'd finally managed to become a trainee manager. And there was a little job to do. I think there was a tablecloth that needed to be fixed or mended or made or something like that. And I said, well, I'll do that in my own time, because I wanted, as I say, I was trying to communicate how keen I was and how ambitious I was. And the general manager, the boss of the place, looked at me and actually patted me on the head and said, "Don't you worry your head about it." You patronizing. I mean, just, and again, guess what I did? Did I say, I find that patronizing? Did I say that's pretty insulting to actually pat me on the head? Or did I say it's something that I'm capable of doing? Are you questioning? I mean, did I say any of these things? What I actually did was I went back to my room and I laughed about it. And I gave up at that moment. I gave up on being in the hotel trade and said, well, I'm never going to convince them. If they don't feel that I'm capable of sewing this tablecloth after the time that they've known me, and they look down on me like that, then I give up. And what I needed, or what I said to myself then, was I need to go to university because I need the certificate. I didn't say I need to be a better speaker. I said I need a certificate that says what my intelligence and what my capability was. So not hugely good, is it? And so I really don't want people to wait as long as I did before they start speaking and expressing themselves. That's the whole point of being here and being an advocate for people about speaking. So let's have a look. There doesn't seem to be any more comments. So I shall keep going till past, just in case my people turn up. Let me just have a look. So yes, so what to do if you feel that you are being underestimated, if you feel that you are smarter than the way you sound. At some point, you're going to have to speak and express yourself. What can happen, though, is that if you're in that situation where you're already feeling emotional or you're already feeling triggered and this fear response has kicked in, then remember, with the fear response, you have the fight, flight, freeze and fawn. So if you do speak and you're feeling that fear response, you may not be expressing yourself as clearly, because fawning is just agreeing with the other person. You don't want to do that. And then the fight or flight is do you sound like you're just trying to get away, or do you sound like you're being aggressive with the other person? And then obviously with freeze, that's when you can't think of anything to say. So it may be that you have to remove yourself from the particular conversation that's happened. Calm yourself down to be speaking as an adult who hasn't yet moved into these areas. And of course, it could be that you need to write down something in the first place and say, "Oh, I want to speak to you about this. I felt that you're not seeing what I'm capable of, And I wanted to remind you that I've got a master's degree, and how can we best use it together. Even if you acknowledge and say, I know that I'm shy, I know that I don't always speak up, but don't do what I did, which is just say nothing, give up on people, and end up having to swap and change jobs all the time. As I say, there are safe ways for you to begin to find your voice if you're somebody who's really in these early stages and feeling a lot of fear and anxiety about speaking. It may be that you're not feeling that fear. You're just aware that you have a lot more to offer and you're struggling to get the words out. So particularly if you have English as a second language. I get this a lot with a lot of people who feel that they're not using all of the vocabulary and all the information that they have in that moment. And as I say, at some point, I think you need to express to the person that you're speaking to, either in writing or however feels safe for you, that you do have more that you'd like to offer. So anybody who watches this video in the future, you may wonder why I show up and I'm currently wearing no makeup. Again, this is deliberate. This is about, I'm here to advocate for people who find it difficult to speak up. That's one thing. But I'm also here to develop my skills. And part of that is letting you see who I am. And what's been happening lately is that I've been showing up with no makeup. And it's like, how does my anxiety feel showing up with no makeup? That doesn't mean that in the future, I'm never going to wear makeup again. That just means that I'm trying to push myself to feel a little bit uncomfortable each time. Because me feeling uncomfortable that you've seen me, without the makeup, is kind of like having a bigger group of people watch me. I'm playing with that uncomfortable feeling, aren't I? But I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to do my first video and I'm going to do it without makeup. It's like the first video I did my hair, I curled my hair, I did lots of hair lacquer, and I did the makeup, and I did everything I could to make myself feel as safe as I possibly could. But as I say, now I'm doing my best to push myself a bit more out of my comfort zone, because I want to grow in confidence. I want to be a better speaker than I currently am. Anyway. Oh, it's 11:30, and without you speaking to me, guys, I'm going to have to disappear. But I am going to be here on Tuesday and Thursday at the same time. This is how it worked on the Hello app. And I think it's a good thing to have a routine and say, I'm going to be here live Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to be doing some more videos with YouTube about some simple Q&A that people ask me all the time. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to end the stream. But I really, Rita, I'm not sure if you're busy doing other things. But I missed you. I hope you're okay. As I say, it sounds like you could do with a friend who thinks you're great. And I wanted you to know, I think you're great. I've missed you. And I hope you take care of yourselves. And yeah, if you need to get in touch with me, obviously there's Facebook and there's Instagram and there's different things like that. Yeah, you're here. I felt, Rita, I was worried that I'd brushed over that you were saying that confidence at a minimum level. If it feels like I brushed over that, that's about my inability to communicate what's going on inside of me. Because I do remember you, and I'm thrilled that you're here. And I am concerned that if you're feeling your confidence is at a lower level. I think the last time we spoke, I think you had a lot going on with studies and different things. But sometimes we find that she says a bit distracted by a phone call, but with an eye on you. Yeah. So yeah, I think sometimes what happens is if you feel anxiety about speaking, sometimes the message about the emotion can get a little bit confused. So I noticed when I was feeling a little bit breathy when I was talking to Rita and I was saying about confidence, and I felt myself rush through things instead of slowing down. And so this is the whole point. The whole point is for me to show up and say, I'm not perfect. I'm not here as a teacher to be perfect. I'm here to say there was a time when I wouldn't get on the bus first. I would get on the bus second because I was so self-conscious and embarrassed. I never put my hand up at school. And yet here I am speaking on YouTube because this is what I feel called to do and this is what I want to do. And is there more for me to learn? Yes. Am I super pleased and proud of how far I've come? Yes. So, as I say, Rita, I was going to go, but I just wanted you to know that if I failed to communicate it, I do hope you're okay. And as I say, Facebook, Instagram, put a comment here. Just to say, reach out if you want to. I've got the website, Speaking Made Simple. Email is joanne@cantamax.com. But I say all these things are readily available. And I'll be doing a few more videos soon. Oh dear. You're still younger than me. You're still younger than me. Do you know what, Rita? I only found out they were talking about the vagus nerve. You may know about this. The vagus nerve. And they were saying how you can stimulate that. In particular, one of the things they said was, well, one of the things was humming and singing. Another one was rubbing behind your ears. I think they were saying about your neck. And the vagus nerve is part of your nervous system. And they were saying if you stimulate the vagus nerve, then that can calm you. Well, I don't know anything about this really because I focused on developing my skills as a speaker and being really practical about that to build my confidence. But of course, there's other ways to handle anxiety and fears, and you can work on the mindset. It sounds like you've been thinking about the mindset and relaxing. And just this week, I went to yoga and I was thinking, I really need to focus more on that mindset side of things. And as I say, I'd never heard of the vagus nerve. And I think the little bit I had heard, I was wondering if it was kind of a fad thing, not a medical thing. Turns out it's a medical thing and people do know about it. And it's just, I don't know, I've been blinkered and I haven't seen many people speak about that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested now in investigating other ways besides just building your skills as a speaker to build your confidence and feel better. You know, what's happening with mindset. And so there's 3 ways to feel better about speaking. One is the mindset and maybe the physical, you know, some people may take medication and different things. 2 is the building the skills, having concrete speaking skills. And 3 is being more of a focus on service, which is kind of like working on the mindset. But it's about having that sense of meaning and purpose so that you're focused completely on that other person. And I like to think that I use all 3 of these to boost my confidence when I'm speaking or when I need to do something. But I tend to focus on number 2 with the skills because that helped me quite a bit. But I'm definitely going to be doing more on the mindset. But anyway, you're in my thoughts. And I hope to speak to you and see you again. And say I'll be back on Tuesday. I may well be doing some videos in between, but I will probably put makeup on for that. And you just take, guys, and thank you so much for the comments that you put, Rita, because it really helped me get through. a little bit of this time and to get me started on doing the YouTube videos again. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye.